Your cat walks out the door, disappears for 6 hours, crosses streets it's never seen, cuts through 3 backyards it doesn't own, and somehow, every single time, ends up back on your doorstep like nothing happened. No leash, no GPS, no map. And here's the part that should honestly freak you out. Some cats have found their way home from over 1,000 miles away. Not a typo. 1,000 miles. So what is actually happening inside that tiny skull? Because it's not luck. It's not instinct in the vague, lazy way people use that word. It's one of the most insane navigation systems in the animal kingdom, and it's been sitting on your couch this whole time. Let's start with the case that made scientists take this seriously. In 1978, a Persian cat named Howie was left with relatives in Adelaide, Australia, while his family went on holiday. Howie went missing almost immediately. A year later, filthy, injured, and half his body weight gone, a cat crawled up to the family's new home. It was Howie. He had crossed over 1,000 miles of Australian outback, without roads, without scent trails from home, through terrain a cat had never walked before in its life. Howie isn't alone. In the 1950s, a cat named Sugar reportedly traveled 1,500 miles from California to Oklahoma after being left behind when her family moved, taking 14 months to arrive, limping but alive. These stories used to get filed under folklore. Then researchers started asking an uncomfortable question. What if the cats weren't guessing? Here's where it gets genuinely strange. In 2014, the Cat Tracker Project, a joint study by the University of Illinois and National Geographic, strapped GPS units to hundreds of outdoor house cats to map exactly where they go. Most cats, it turns out, stick to a home range of just a few hundred meters. But inside that range, the data showed something remarkable. Cats weren't wandering randomly. They were moving in loops, tracing the exact same paths night after night, like they were running a route memorized down to the meter. That's not wandering. That's a cat with a mental map more detailed than the one in your phone. So how does a brain the size of a walnut hold a map like that? Part of the answer is something called path integration. While your cat is out exploring, its brain is constantly tracking every turn, every distance, every change in direction, and continuously calculating a straight line back to where it started. Ants do this, bees do this, migratory birds do this, and cats, it turns out, do it exceptionally well, using their inner ear for balance and orientation combined with scent memory built from thousands of walks around the same territory. Every fence post, every tree, every neighbor's driveway gets logged into a mental grid your cat is updating in real time. But path integration alone doesn't explain Howie. Path integration only works within territory a cat already knows. It cannot explain a cat finding its way home across 1,000 miles of land it has never touched. For that, scientists point to something far stranger, a sense most humans don't even have a word for. Magnetoreception. The ability to detect Earth's magnetic field and use it like an internal compass. It sounds like science fiction, but it's been confirmed in birds, in sea turtles, in some rodents, and increasingly, researchers believe some mammals carry trace amounts of magnetite, a magnetic mineral embedded in tissue connected to the brain. A well-known 2013 study even found that dogs tend to align their bodies along the north-south axis of Earth's magnetic field before going to the bathroom, a strange but telling clue that canines can sense magnetic north. Cats haven't been studied nearly as much, but their sensory hardware is closely related. If a cat carries even a rough version of that same internal compass, a 1,000-mile journey stops sounding impossible and starts sounding like biology doing exactly what it evolved to do. Now picture what that actually means for a cat like Howie. Dropped in unfamiliar territory, no scent trail, no map, nothing to path integrate from, and yet something in his nervous system still pointed roughly toward home, the same way a compass needle finds north whether or not you're paying attention to it. He didn't know the way. He felt the direction. Then he just kept walking toward it, week after week, city after city, until the direction became a driveway. And it's not only about the big dramatic journeys. Watch your own cat closely enough and you'll see the small version of this system running constantly. The way it hesitates at a new gap in the fence before committing. The way it pauses at a corner like it's checking coordinates. The way it takes a completely different route home than the one it took to leave, cutting the distance instead of retracing steps. That's not an animal following its nose. That's an animal running calculations you can't see. There's also a simpler piece of this most people miss entirely: scent. A cat's nose contains around 200 million scent receptors, compared to your roughly 5 million. Cats also rub their faces against furniture, door frames, and fence posts constantly, marking territory with scent glands on their cheeks. To you, that looks like affection. To your cat, it's leaving breadcrumbs, an entire scent-based map of home, laid down over months, invisible to you, completely readable to them. Combine that scent map with path integration for anything nearby, and a rough magnetic compass for anything far away, and you get an animal that can be dropped almost anywhere and still start walking in roughly the right direction. Here's the part that should change how you look at your cat tonight. This ability wasn't built for suburban backyards or GPS-tracked afternoons. It was built for a wild ancestor that needed to travel miles from a den to hunt, then find that exact den again in the dark, every single night, with a full stomach and zero landmarks in sight. Getting lost meant the kittens back in the den starved. So evolution didn't leave this to chance. It built redundancy into the system, scent, memory, inner ear orientation, and possibly a literal magnetic compass, stacked on top of each other so that no single failure could strand the animal. Your cat is walking around with a navigation system so aggressively over-engineered that 1,000 miles barely tests its limits. So the next time your cat slips out the door and vanishes for the afternoon, you're not watching an animal get lucky. You're watching one of the most sophisticated navigation systems nature ever built, quietly run in the background, tracking every step, cross-referencing scent, direction, and distance, all so it can walk back through your front door like it never left. Somewhere behind those eyes is a compass older than your species, and it has never once forgotten where home is. If this blew your mind even a little, hit subscribe, because this channel is going deep into the science behind everything your cat does that you never questioned. And if you know someone whose cat mysteriously reappears after going missing for hours, send them this video. They're going to want an explanation.